G'day everyone, DJ DAO here. I just wanted to make another video explaining about maintenance. Now, maintenance is a thing which I'm sure most controller owners own, so I'm going to keep this very, very brief. But for those of you who've just recently purchased the DJ DAO and you haven't opened it up, you don't know what's going on inside, you're freaking out because you're like, oh my god, my pretty LEDs, they're not shining anymore. Well, don't fret. It's very, very straightforward to do everything with this DAO, and especially if you own a more recent generation like the FPS, it's really easy. Really, really easy to take care of. So I'm just going to quickly show you guys how to open up your DAO, how to service it, maintain it, all of that jazz. It's going to be really straightforward. So obviously the first thing you want to do is open it up. Now, for the older style controllers, on the back there will be a set of screws like so, which you have to unscrew and then pull out. However, for the new generation DAOs, it's very easy. There's a set of 4 screws along the sides, like so. All you need to do is unscrew them with an Allen key, like I've got here. Oh, I'll show you. Allen key. And as you can see, I always leave 2 of my screws out because I only need 2 sets to keep the buttons in place. So, just turn counterclockwise, like so. Just get the screws out. I do this so often that it's not a problem. Of course, with the new generation DAOs as well, it's really great because there's actually screw wells underneath, so your screw holes are never going to wear out. Whereas on the old generation ones, if you unscrew it enough times, unfortunately, your backboard is not going to screw in properly again. So try and open your controller as little as possible, or yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. It was just really shoddy design at the start. So once you've done that, peel your buttons off, really easy to do, like so, and turn around. So this is what the inside of a DAO looks like. It looks like a bunch of shit running everywhere. It doesn't really make much sense, but when you look down into it, it's actually very straightforward. So on each of the buttons, or underneath each of the buttons, you can see that there is a switch and there's a bunch of wires leading to a board. This board here is the DAO PCB. The PCB is where all of the inputs go into, which in turn sends the signal through the USB wire or the PS2 wire to your PlayStation or your computer. So all of those wires run into here. The wires run into sockets which are hooked up to the micro switches. Now there's four different wires which run to create a circuit between the switches and the buttons and the switches. Okay, the sets on the side here are for the lights. These are used entirely for the lights. You don't need to touch those at all. They're fine. You will never have to touch those ever. Okay. The ones which run sideways, so the ones which I'm touching here, the yellow and black one, are connected to the micro switch. Okay, now the micro switch is the thing which sits underneath the button, which is the actual press. So when the micro switch is activated from the button, you get your key tap, which is really straightforward. So I'll try and turn it sideways like so you can see. So here on button number, this is the start button actually. On the start button, you can probably see when I press it down, you can see this white part moving. That is the button pressing down on top of the micro switch, which is wedged in there. And you can hear the little click. The click comes from the micro switch. So the micro switch is where all of the magic happens. That's where your key presses come from. Okay? Now, if one of your keys is starting to mess up and it's kind of like, I press the key and I get rapid taps, or one of my keys is just stuck on, you might, if you're really unlucky, have a faulty micro switch. Now, if you've got a micro switch which is faulty, unfortunately you have to buy a new one. There's no quick fix that you can do, whatever. You must buy a new switch. Okay? Now, I stupidly, when I first bought this controller, managed to spill beer in it. And it was such a nightmare. But it's a good example of how to clean your controller, because I'll tell you the process that I went through at first. Okay? So first thing which you want to do is you want to check the micro switch. And it's really straightforward to do. So I'm just going to take key 7 here as an example. First thing you want to do is remove the yellow and black wires. Oh, and before any of that, okay, before you do anything, make sure your controller is not plugged in, okay? Because you might short something, you might electrocute yourself, I don't know. It's just a hazard to have it plugged in. Do not plug your controller in when you're working inside it. It's just the safest thing to do. With that sorted, when your controller's unplugged, you know everything's safe, you want to remove the yellow and black connectors to your micro switch, okay? Really straightforward to do. All you have to do is get your thumbnail, like so, slide it underneath the connector, okay? The connector is very, very small, but slide it under the connector and just wriggle it out like so. There you go. So the yellow wire's out. You just need to slide it in between so that, like, there's prongs, as you can see, there's prongs. You just slip it under the prong or next to the prong and just slide the wire out, okay? To get the micro switch out is also very straightforward. You know, lots of people are like, how do I get it out? I have to take the whole button out, rah. Very easy to do, okay? All you have to do is, on the side, you can probably see here, there's a lower bit. Sorry, I'll try and move it into the camera distance. Lower bit and a higher bit. On the higher bit, there is a tooth which is holding it in. So all you do is you pry back the tooth on the higher part, tilt the switch forward, okay? Forward. And it will just slide out really easily, okay? So this is what the micro switch looks like if you've never seen one before. I'll turn it around. So these are my 50G OMRONs. Very, very nice OMRONs. I'd highly recommend running 50G in your setups if you haven't already, okay? All you have to do is click the top of it, make sure that it's pressing down and coming up properly. Oh, it's so crisp. I love the feeling of these OMRONs. So if it's actuating like that and it's doing it fine constantly, then the switch is probably fine. You don't need to worry about it, okay? So you can put that switch back in. Putting the switches back in is sort of similar to how you took it out, but in the reverse order. So we removed the top tooth and then slid it out from the second one. This time, you just need to slide it into the bottom tooth, realign it, pull the top tooth out, and tuck it in like so. Once you've done that, all you have to do is reapply your wires. Now, be careful when doing this to not do it in the wrong order, because I've screwed up this multiple times. But black wire, the black wire goes on the bottom, like so, okay? So black wire just slides in. Now just slide it in. Don't go crazy. Don't like jam it in or anything, because you risk damaging the ends of your wires, and if you do that, you have to restrip your wire, you have to reapply it into the socket again, and it's a pain in the ass. So just be careful when you're doing this. Slide it gently back. So the black one goes on the bottom part of the micro switch, sorry, the top part, and then the yellow one goes on the bottom, the one which you can see, you know, just in front of you, okay? So that order, so black on the bottom, yellow on top, like so, okay? So your micro switch is fine, you've got that back in, you turn your controller around, you screw it all back in, you start playing, and then you go, oh, my key is still sticking, I don't understand what's going on. So you've still got a problem, your key is still showing issues, okay? In that case, it's probably not the micro switch, it's probably got something to do with your button, okay? With your DAO button or your OMRON button, depending on which button you have, okay? So it means that you probably have to take your button out. Now I had this problem when I spilled beer on my controller. I had to take the whole thing apart and clean it all with alcohol. So really, really easy to take the button out, just like with the OMRON switch, okay? It's just about how you do it. Now, first thing you need to do is get the OMRON holder, or the switch, micro switch holder, out from the button socket. And that's really easy to do, okay? All you need to do is grip it on the sides, like so. Turn counterclockwise until you hear a click. Okay, I'll do that again. Counterclockwise. You'll hear a click. And just pull the button up. Okay? So once you pull the button up, the key is free, okay? You don't need to worry about that, set that aside. You've got your key here. Now the key is held in with a screw. It's like a nut, which just holds the key, and there's a nut holder, or a bolt, or whatever. I forgot what this is called. It's like a nut, or something like that. So, you just need to turn this, once again, counterclockwise. Take it out, okay? Place it aside. Remove the square backing, right? And then your key should just slide out, like so, okay? So once you've got your key out, just make sure that it's sitting properly, make sure that it's not stuck anywhere, and tap it, okay? if you can see that the teeth are going down, it means that the button is working. It means that the button is working fine. However, if you're pressing it, test different areas. Press the top and the bottom. And if it's sticking somewhere, like if you do that and then suddenly the button's stuck, it's not coming back up, then you've probably got an issue with how clean your button is. So if that's the case, you're going to need to clean your button. So I don't have any alcohol wipes with me at the moment, but I highly recommend that you go get some baby wipes or some sort of like alcohol-based wipes and you start cleaning your button. How do you clean your button? Very straightforward. To pull the button apart, all you need to do, you see the teeth here? You just pinch the teeth together, okay? Pinch them inside the button, like so. Pinch, and then push it up. Like so. And the button will slide out of the holder, okay? Now be very careful when you lift the button out. When you lift the button out, there is a spring inside. So hold it upside down, okay? Like so, okay? And then you've got your spring. So you pull the spring out, that's what the top of the button looks like, okay? When it's outside of its holder. It's just a plain white piece of plastic, right? There's the spring which goes inside. I don't know what pressure springs DAO uses, but I'm pretty sure they're 50G, okay? So what you want to do once you've got all this out is clean along all of the parts which move together, okay? So you want to clean around here, along the teeth like so, and you want to clean inside the button here, okay? This is one of the buttons that got cleaned, so it's actually in pretty good condition at the moment. Right, you don't need to worry about the spring so much. Just make sure that this button, the inside of this is a little dirty because I haven't done it in a few months, but just wipe around with the alcohol wipe, okay? And then once you're sure that it's all been wiped down, you need to put your button back in. So, spring goes back inside like so, okay? The spring sits in between the two teeth. Once again, pinch the teeth together and then get them inside the hole. Like so, okay? So just put them inside the hole. Oh, my teeth just came out a little bit. Ugh. Okay, because I'm doing this so slow, it's not sitting properly. Oh, come on. There we go. Alright, so once you hear that click, it means that your button, which I've just dropped, your button is back in place, your spring is in place, everything is good. So just tap on it, make sure that it's going down and up properly again. And then you can reset it back into your controller. So once again, it goes back in the socket. It should fit perfectly back into the socket. Make sure you get your black holder, place that on top, get your nut, place the nut over the top, and just screw it back in, like so. Really straightforward, okay? Then once again, check it, test it, make sure it's pressing down and up, okay? Now, for LEDs, very quickly, one of my friends, Gokun, thought that the LEDs were really shitty. He's like, oh, the LEDs are terrible, they die after like a few years. They don't die. What actually happens is, because you're playing so much, and there's so much force going between the micro switch holder and the button, the LEDs eventually sort of jiggle out. They jiggle out slowly like so, and they'll come to a point where they're not seated correctly. Like they'll jiggle out to a point where they stop lighting up, or just to the point where they're not quite working properly. And it's a really easy fix. All you need to do is take your LED and push it back in again. Just push it back in until it starts lighting up. And if you're daring, turn your controller on. Okay, I'm not going to do it because I don't like turning my controller on when I'm doing this. But you can actually just press down on the micro switch like so. And if it starts lighting up again, then hey, it's fixed. You've got no problems, yeah? No worries. So make sure that that is working, make sure that the LED is lighting on, and it's fine. Like, your LEDs are not dying. Like, they're completely fine, just reseat them again, and you're fine. Put your holder back into your button, like so. So there's a bunch of teeth on the side, which you can't see very well because my webcam's a piece of shit. But there's teeth on the side, which sort of slot in. Just make sure that the teeth of the button line up with the teeth of the on switch holder, the micro switch holder. Then just turn it clockwise until you hear a click. Like so, click. And your button's back in. There you go, voila. It's fixed, okay? So now, once again, test, make sure that the button's going down, make sure that the button is hitting down onto the micro switch, and once you're happy with everything, turn your buttons back over, like so. And voila, there you go. That's how you fix your micro switches and your buttons and make sure that they're all working properly. So it's really easy to do. So long as you follow the steps that I've done in this video, you should have no problem maintaining your DJ DAO controller. Okay, so that's it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions whatsoever, please leave me a comment in the section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If there's anything that you would like me to cover in my videos, please just message me, and I'll see what I can do in the next week or so. That's it for me for now. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you later, guys.